Welcome to the Dogs Podcast with your hosts, Blake Reneker, Justin Charles, and Josh All.
What's up, Browns fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Dogs Podcast. Josh All alone with you guys here on a Wednesday doing the midweek update. Just wanting to dive into some more stats from the game on Sunday. I mean, we haven't been able to do this all season. I have not been able to do a midweek update where I get to dive into exciting stats. We've only had one win the entire season before now, and even that one wasn't very impressive. It was a ho-hum. We managed to beat the lowly Jacksonville Jaguars type of situation. This was the first exciting game for the Browns all season. It took 8 weeks to get here, but we're here, and it's good stuff to talk about. And I really want to break down, there's a lot of discussion, and this is what I'll tell you guys real quick about social media before we dive into the content. I have come to the understanding, which maybe you guys will say, oh, Josh, you're a little late adopter on this because we already knew this. But anyway, Browns fans and just people on social media in general are going to fight over something. There is no coming together on a topic. There is no unity or peace. It is always a fight. And it can never just be a civil debate. It's always got to be a you're a moron because you think the opposite of what I think type of situation. And whatever, we're on social media, so we're out there of arguing with everybody. But I just got to say the whole thing, and I've got some stuff to talk about later on breaking this down. But there's a lot of people that just in one game that Ken Dorsey was the official play caller of the offense during the game. Now, all of a sudden, people are like, we can get rid of Kevin. We don't need Kevin. Dorsey's got this under control. Finally got the offense out of Kevin's hands, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, guys, I don't understand why we can't collectively as football fans, like, come on, we watch football. You watch football, you got to understand it on some sort of basic level. Just because the person calling the plays into the quarterback's helmet on a Sunday afternoon changed. That's the change. It didn't change the offense. It didn't change who's involved in the preparation during the week. However involved Kevin was in the offense during the week before Sunday is exactly how involved he was leading up to the Ravens game. That whole part didn't change. The only thing that changed was who was calling the plays into the helmet on Sunday against the Ravens, and I've got a good article that kind of breaks down the actual impact that had, and it was not so much the plays being called, but it was the situational advantages around having Kevin be more of a CEO than a play caller during the game. So we'll get into all that. Again, if you guys are watching this on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. We've got a lot of viewers because I can look at the analytics, a lot of you guys out there watching the show on a regular basis or semi-regular basis aren't actually subscribed to the channel. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. Just tap the subscribe button and then tap the notification bell so you don't miss anything new. We've got big things coming out the rest of the season. We're going to have a live stream event as long as all the technology situation goes well. Saturday night at the Grindstone Tap House up in Berea. We're going to do the Berea Browns Backers Bash. It's going to be a ton of fun. Can't wait to meet everybody out there. And that is primarily going to be a big meetup for a lot of members of our Dog Pack community. And if you want to be a part of that, it's jointhedogs.com. Get into the Patreon, sync up with the private Discord. We're doing our Discord Dog Pack preview episode tomorrow night in that Discord server for the preview against the Chargers. So again, jointhedogs.com, become an official Dog Pack member. So real quick, I posted this on Twitter yesterday because I saw a couple other accounts posting around the number of Browns quarterbacks who have thrown for 300 plus yards in a game and how many times they did it under Kevin Stefanski. And so I wanted to kind of jump on this topic, but I wanted to go even further than just the three, because I've talked in the past, a 300-yard game does not a great quarterback make, right? That is not the only signifier of, well, this is a good quarterback or he had a good game. But there are other stat milestones to look at that we can break down. So this is what I posted. Just wanted to go over the numbers with you guys watching or listening on audio. So quarterbacks with 300 plus yard games under Kevin Stefanski. DeShaun Watson had 19 starts, 0 games over 300 yards. Joe Flacco, 6 starts, 5 games. Jameis Winston, obviously 1 start, 1 game over 300 yards. So Joe Flacco was at 83%. Jameis obviously at the 100. We'll see what he does this week against the Chargers' tough defense. But I wanted to break it down even further. So I went back and looked at Jacoby Brissett. Jacoby Brissett had 11 starts, only had 1 game over 300 yards. Baker Mayfield, 32 starts with Kevin Stefanski, only 4 games with over 300 yards. So the 300-yard thing, that is just, talk about it all the time. It's a tough mark for quarterbacks to hit. It really is in the NFL. I mean, defenses, the average to above average to great defenses at least, they're not letting quarterbacks just pile up yards against them. I mean, the Ravens are a good defense overall and historically, but their passing defense is not great. That is where you can eat them alive. We talked about that in the preview episode last week, and it's what the Browns did. So I broke it down even further. I said, so what about quarterbacks with 200 plus yard games? Because a 200-yard game, that's kind of the expectation for a quarterback in the NFL. You want your quarter. We talk. I mean, when I say we, like football, the NFL industry standard. When you talk about adequate, competent quarterback play, it's kind of the 202. Can your quarterback go out there and average 200 yards and 2 touchdowns a game? If your quarterback can average that, it doesn't mean obviously you want your quarterback to have the big games where it's 300. Hey, maybe a 400-yard game, 3-4 touchdown game, that kind of stuff. But you want to minimize the games where your quarterback is under 200 yards and maybe only 1 or maybe even 0 touchdowns in that game. So 202 is kind of that threshold of that's what you want your quarterback to be able to do on average to be competent and give you a chance to win. So 200 plus yard games under Kevin Stefanski. DeShaun Watson, 19 starts, only 6 games over 200 yards. That's 32%. Joe Flacco, 6 starts, all 6 games were over 200. Jameis Winston, 1 start, that 1 game obviously over 200. Jacoby Brissett, 11 starts, 10 of the 11 were over 200, 91%. So Jacoby Brissett was not a 300-yard passer, but whenever he was leading the team, we were still a heavy run team with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt and all that stuff. So Brissett, like I said, 91%. Baker Mayfield, 32 starts, 20 of those were over 200. So that's 63%. So if you look at the numbers, 63, 91, 100, and 100 were the 4 quarterbacks under Kevin Stefanski, the 4 main starters. DeShaun Watson, just 32% of his starts. So not good at all. So I went even further. I said, okay, well, what about those multi-touchdown games? I just talked about the 202. So how many games did these quarterbacks start and throw 2 or more touchdowns? DeShaun Watson, 19 starts, only 5 of the games did he throw 2 or more touchdowns. That's 26%. Joe Flacco, 6 starts, 5 of them he threw 2+ touchdowns, 83%. Jameis Winston, obviously the 1-for-1, 100%. Jacoby Brissett only did it twice in 11 starts at 18%. So he's the only one on this list lower than DeShaun Watson. Baker Mayfield, 32 starts, 16 games he threw 2+ touchdowns, 50%. So I just wanted to break down those numbers and kind of give you guys that idea that 202 threshold, obviously it all came from this whole, the 300+ yard passer concept going around Twitter, but it just kind of goes to show that Kevin Stefanski has been able to run a successful offense with the Cleveland Browns as long as he's got competent quarterback play. We've said it a lot, and these numbers just kind of go back and prove it. And it's just, we're not trying to like pile on and bash Deshaun Watson. Obviously, we came into this season super high on him, thinking that what we saw from him last year could be expanded upon. He could continue to grow in this offensive system. It was this new offensive system was designed around him. Yada, yada, yada. Y'all know the story. Didn't work. Not going to work. That ship has definitely sailed. All right. So before I start talking about some of these Jameis Winston stats that I wanted to dive a little deeper into that we didn't get into too much on Monday night's live show, I just want to play this side-by-side clip. This is the 2 pregame speeches from Jameis Winston. The first one's in the tunnel before they come out on the field, and this one cracks me up. And then the second one is out on the field before the game starts. So go ahead, watch these, and we'll talk about it after.
Opportunities come once in a lifetime. And with those opportunities, we have to make the most of it. Every one of us have an individual responsibility to go out there and fight for each other. Represent the names on your back, represents the names that's on your helmet. Well, we don't got no decal. So represent the Browns, all right? One play at a time, all right? Together. All right, here we go. 10 no 3. 1, 2, 3, family. Let's get it. I believe. Me too. I believe. Me too. I believe. Come on. I believe. I believe. Listen, eyes have not seen, ears have not heard what the Lord got for the Cleveland Browns. Come on. Okay? We don't have to see instant gratification. We don't have to see something good happen to folks. We got to believe. Yes, sir. We got to have that unwavering faith. Come on. I got that. Come on. All right. You got one opportunity. You got one opportunity. Yeah. Do something, man. And I believe in my crew. Who with me? I want you to go. Family on 3, family on 3. 1, 2, 3, family. Believe.
Man, I'll tell you what, it is so hard not to really like this guy. We were high on him from the beginning when he first got signed by Cleveland. We played some clips, I believe, on the show and, passed him around social media. His interview on Cleveland Browns Daily, some of the things that he says, the way that he talks to the media and everything. And these clips were cool for me because it's how he talks to his teammates. It's not, he's kind of got a persona when he approaches the media, but he's got his persona when he approaches his teammates, and you just see the fire and the passion in this guy, and it's a ton of fun. And obviously the best line in all of it is represent the name on your helmets. Wait, we ain't got no decals. We'll represent the Browns. It's just, you got to love in the moment, he's given this speech and he realizes, wait, we can't do that technically because and he's got like this humor to him. He's got this serious side of him, and he's a fun guy. And I feel like he is the quarterback that this team could rally around for this season. So diving a little more into Jameis Winston here, the other day, Kevin Stefanski came out and said that Jameis will be the Browns starter moving forward. And I saw a lot of people on Twitter calling that the most no shit Sherlock statement of the day. Of course, Jameis is going to be the Browns starter moving forward. Winston had 334 passing yards against the Ravens. That was the most in the whole NFL in week 8. So he was the week NFL leader in passing yards. He had an 8.15 yards per average. For reference, DeShaun Watson's season average was 5.3, which was 49th in the league, down with guys like Jacoby Brissett in New England and Bryce Young in Carolina. So that's a big difference right there. We have talked about also DeShaun Watson's QBRs this season. Just as a reminder, guys, here were DeShaun Watson's QBRs for the season: 7.8, 29.1, 23.6, 35.3, 9.2, 33.9. I believe the average was somewhere around 22 overall for the season. I think that was dead last, or it's either 31st or 32nd in the league. Jameis Winston, first start against the Ravens, 84.5 QBR. So definitely not just a slight or, a good improvement, a freaking significant improvement in the total QBR in that game. I mean, DeShaun Watson never even had half the QBR that Jameis had in that game. We talked about it on Monday night, but I just wanted to reiterate. The time to throw, there is still, we've talked about this so much on this podcast. I know I have for sure. There is a lot of confusion still about time to throw, and there's different, analytical outlets, websites, and things where people get numbers. And I did see, because I don't know if you guys saw this online, if you're on Twitter and stuff. A lot of people were saying, hey, the offensive line blocked so much better for Jameis. He had 4.25 seconds to throw the ball on average and all this stuff. That stat, I believe, was coming from, I actually forget what website or what outlet that came from, but like Jake Burns and the OBR guys were posting, that was a miscalculation. That was an incorrect stat that was being posted. His time to throw, or his time in the pocket, or whatever people think it is, was not over 4 seconds. That's like nobody in the NFL has a time to throw over 3. Or I'm sorry, 3.3 is the highest in the NFL. Nobody ever has 4. Like that is an incorrect stat. So time to throw is not, and I'm sorry guys, if you've heard this this speech before. I'll get off my soapbox as quickly as possible. But I just got to reiterate for new listeners, new viewers, and people that still just don't, and I'm not trying to say this in a negative way, but like, if maybe you just don't grasp the concept, but let me break it down real fast. Time to throw is not the amount of time the line provides for the quarterback in the pocket to throw the ball. Time to throw is the amount of time it takes for the quarterback to get the snap before he throws the ball. So it's not what the line is providing. It's how long the quarterback is taking to go through his reads, to find his receiver, and make the throw. So time to throw for Jameis Winston on Sunday was 2.41. For reference, that was the third quickest time to throw in the NFL last week on the entire week. This episode is sponsored by Leaf Filter. Browns fans, whether the team is winning or not, you are the most diehard, loyal fans in the league year in and year out. And just like you, Leaf Filter has been supporting clean gutters in Northeast Ohio year after year. And because Leaf Filter is the official gutter guard of the Cleveland Browns, they have a limited time offer for all of you barking dogs. Right now, you can get up to 32% of your entire qualified purchase and 2 free official Browns jerseys at leaffilter.com/dogs. Now, I don't know how many of you have ever cleaned your gutters, but it's a tedious, messy, time-consuming chore. So cut down on your weekend home maintenance, cross off another item on that to-do list so you can spend more time watching football on your days off. Leaf Filter uses award-winning patented technology to keep everything out of your gutters except for the water. Schedule your free gutter inspection today for a free no-obligation estimate on protecting your home from flooding, roof damage, rotting siding, foundation issues, and all those things you really don't need to be dealing with as a homeowner. A Leaf Filter trusted pro will clean out your gutters, realign and seal them before installing Leaf Filter. Schedule your free inspection now, and for a limited time, get up to 32% off your entire qualified purchase and 2 free Browns jerseys at Leaf Filter, leaffilter.com/dogs, DAWGS. That's a free inspection up to 32% off and 2 free Browns jerseys with a qualified purchase at leaffilter.com/dogs. Offer valid on a first come first served basis while supplies last. Full terms and conditions can be found at leaffilter.com/dogs. See representatives for warranty details. And don't mind if you guys hear like heavy panting and breathing in the background of this. My dog is over here he's having himself a morning. He is having it. We found 2 kittens outside over the weekend. So we've got them in the house trying to get them back to health and everything. My stepson is in love with the one. So anyway, they're driving the dog absolutely bonkers. But ignore that if you can hear it. Anyway, back to the time to throw. So DeShaun Watson's season average was 3.05. He only had 2 games this season under 3 seconds time to throw. He had a 2.69 and a 2.66. So the 3.05 average time to throw, that's the 8th highest in the NFL on the season. And like we talked about on Monday night, that is over an entire half a second longer to throw on average than what Jameis Winston did. That half a second in the NFL with we have elite level pass rush ability in this league. That makes all the difference in the world. Otherwise, they wouldn't track it. Otherwise, they wouldn't calculate it and rank it. It wouldn't matter if your time to throw was 3.05 or under 2.5. It wouldn't matter, but it does. It matters a ton. So I looked at the top 10 highest times to throw in the NFL this season, and as soon as I looked at the list, these are what's the top 10 highest, and they all 10 are the only 10 over 3. So these guys are over 3 seconds to get rid of the ball, and it's Anthony Richardson, DeShaun Watson, Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts, Justin Fields, Bo Nix, Sam Darnold, Brock Purdy, and in his one start, Marcus Mariota, which we won't factor in just the one start for him, but he was at the highest 3.34. So these guys were all over 3 seconds to throw. What did they all have in common? As soon as I saw this list, I'm like, oh, they're all mobile, rushing, playmaking quarterbacks. Richardson, Jackson, Daniels, Hurts, Fields, Nix. These guys all put up big rushing yards pretty often for their teams. The only guys that stood out on this list that really aren't those prolific rushing quarterbacks, Brock Purdy and Sam Darnold. And I got to tell you guys, I've seen a couple 49ers games this year. Brock Purdy, he's not playing at MVP level like he was last year. This dude is holding onto the ball a lot. And it's why that, other than Mariota, which we'll just disregard, Brock Purdy has the highest time to throw on average in the entire NFL this season at 3.23. But, these other guys, they're looking to extend plays, and that's what, leads to a higher time. I mean, Lamar Jackson's time to throw against the Browns, I'd have to look it up to see what it was. It was well over 3. But if you watch the game, you see he drops back, he'll move left, he'll move right, he'll move back a little further, he'll step up, he'll run this way, and then all of a sudden, because he's looking, he's going to run. He holds the ball forever on a lot of plays, and that's why, though. That's his play style. But the thing with DeShaun Watson having this high time to throw, the dude just is not the athlete at 29 years old that he was when he was 24. And now coming off of the Achilles injury, I just don't ever see that playmaking, dual threat kind of quarterback come back into play for DeShaun Watson if he ever takes another NFL snap, which if you guys watch the show, you know we're pretty negative on that. We don't think that's really ever going to happen. But DeShaun, again, was averaging 5 sacks per game. So, this game Sunday was very refreshing. Jameis only took 2 sacks against the Ravens, and one of them was a completely unblocked blindside blitz that the guy came off the left side and just railed Jameis instantly. So, really, there was only 1 sack the rest of the game where he was, dropped back in the pocket, and we'll call it a developing sack on Jameis Winston. So that was great to see, and that all goes back to that 2.41 time to throw. He's getting the ball out quick, and like Blake said on Monday night, it's not just catch the ball and throw it as fast as you can. That's not getting the ball out quick. Getting the ball out quick is getting the snap, having already analyzed and the defense pre-snap. You already walk up, you can identify certain things, where the pressure is going to be coming from. You know where your receivers are going to be. You know if you get pressure from this spot, that spot, you're going to throw to this side of the field. You know that if this guy's covered, there's your next progression. Jameis was processing the game so much better than what we've seen so far this season. So we'll talk a little bit more about Jameis toward the end of the show, but I wanted to dive in on the defensive side. Grant Delpit and the defensive backs in this game. I got to say, Grant Delpit, he's quietly having himself a Pro Bowl season. In 7 games, he has 46 tackles, 4 tackle for loss. He's only got 3 missed tackles all season. He has been awesome. His hit stick tackle on Derrick Henry, where he did the, you're too small or whatever, celebration afterwards, whatever you want to call it. That was pretty cool. I mean, he hit him hard, knocked him down. I mean, Delpit is definitely a great player for this defense. In coverage, Delpit's only allowed 14 receptions for 123 yards all season, not just like recently. All season in 7 games, only 14 receptions for 123 yards, no touchdowns allowed from Grant Delpit. I thought that was a very impressive stat so far. Rodney McLeod, he locked down the coverage the other day, just 3 total receptions, 19 yards against the Ravens. He did get a little help from the Sun because he was charged with the coverage on Rashad Bateman when he dropped that kind of wide open deep pass that hit him right in the face mask. Oh my gosh, guys, if you missed that play, go look it up. One of the goofiest looking plays I've ever seen, but I mean, it was clearly impacted by the Sun. Greg Newsome, he did give up a 23-yard play, to Zay Flowers. He did give up the touchdown to Mark Andrews in the end zone, but otherwise, Newsome did have an overall pretty good game. He wasn't getting cooked the entire time like we kind of have seen so far this season, so that was encouraging to see. Denzel Ward, great again. Just the concussion situation is something we got to watch out for. He's definitely not going to play against the Chargers. We get the bye week. I just got to hope he's back for the Saints here in a couple weeks. But sixth concussion. We've seen other guys with their first concussion already this season miss multiple games. So we'll see how things go for Denzel. But he allowed just 1 catch for 11 yards the entire game. It was the touchdown catch to Nelson Aguilar in the end zone. But outside of that play, nobody was getting anything on Denzel Ward. Martin Emerson, 3 for 41. Still not playing up to the standards that he set for himself last season. We expected more from Martin Emerson this year, and it just hasn't come to fruition. But hopefully, as the offense continues to improve, the entire team continues to gain confidence, we start to see better play from all of our defensive players. And just to wrap it up, Juan Thornhill, another guy that I thought had a pretty solid game, only gave up 2 catches for 15 yards. It was a good game for this defense going up against a Ravens team that was just on a tear this season and is one of the best offenses in the entire league. Not just rushing the ball, but they can get it done through the air now too. They've got the most dangerous electric playmaker at quarterback, and we got the job done. So that was great to see. I want to switch over back now to the offense. Let's talk about the offensive line. It was by far the best game for the offensive line in terms of overall PFF grades. Posick, Conklin, Bitonio were all 74 or higher. Teller was down at a 58. He had a rough game back from injury. 2 holding calls, a false start penalty. The Browns had 4 penalties in this game. 3 of them were on Teller. The other was on Jones, who was at a 54 grade. But Jones over at left tackle, I don't think we can really debate. That was without a doubt the best performance at left tackle that the Browns have gotten all season. Now we're talking about guys like James Hudson and Jedrick Wills. But it was encouraging to see. First time Jones has ever played left tackle, and it was the best performance that we've seen on the season. So hopefully things only improve from there. We've got to attribute some of the offensive line success. I mentioned this earlier, but they looked improved. A lot of that is very much helped by that 2.41 time to throw from Jameis Winston. When the quarterback is executing the offense efficiently, it just makes it easier for everybody else to do their jobs. So Baltimore brought pressure on 15 dropbacks. We allowed 10 total pressures. We only gave up 1 sack that was charged to the line. That was on Joel Bitonio. Now, the rate of pressures allowed is a little concerning because it was actually at 67%. We only had 5 plays that the Ravens brought pressure that we didn't allow it to happen. To compare, on the other side of the ball, the Browns brought pressure on 33 dropbacks. We were bringing it all day long, and Baltimore allowed 20 pressures at a 61% rate, meaning the Ravens line, they picked up pressures on 13 attempts compared to the Browns picked it up on just 5. But they also had more opportunities to pick it up because we brought 33 pressures and they only brought 15. So pretty impressive overall, I will say. In the run game, this is interesting. The Browns ran the ball the Browns ran the ball 15 times to the left side of the line, just 6 times to the right. 61 yards picked up on the ground to the left side of the line, just 17 to the right. And it makes me wonder if there were some limitations still from Wyatt Teller coming off of his injury. Again, like I said a little bit ago, not a good game for Teller. The 3 penalties, and maybe the team just was not looking to run the ball too heavily into his direction. But what they were doing against the number 1 run defense in the league, overall, I think it pretty much worked. We were able to at least establish somewhat of a ground game. It wasn't great or anything, but against that defense, I'll take it. So we mentioned this Monday night, and it's been on social media a lot, but is the playoff talk for the Cleveland Browns for real? Like, how delusional are Browns fans? Are we out of our freaking minds? Are we off our rockers? What the hell is wrong with us? We win 1 game against the Ravens, and now all of a sudden we're talking about playoffs? Yeah, kind of. Yeah, we kind of are. Listen, guys, I make no mistake, hear what I'm not saying, or don't hear what I'm not saying. The Browns are a freaking long shot to make the playoffs, and I mean a long shot. Blake said it right the other night. The margin for error for this team to make the playoffs is so small. I mean, it's not nothing. It's not like we can't make any errors or any mistakes moving forward, but we can't make very many, guys. Otherwise, it's all done. But we've got the Chargers, Colts, the Bengals, and the Dolphins as the only 4 teams that are ahead of us right now in the AFC standings. We play the Chargers, we play the Bengals, and we play the Dolphins. We should have already beaten the Bengals. Obviously, we didn't, so we can't just say we did and have that count toward our playoff standings. We lost. It is what it is, but it shows that with competent quarterback play, we can beat them. We can go down to Cincinnati here in a few weeks or whenever the next game is. I can't remember if that's the last game of the season or not off the top of my head. But we can go there and we can beat them. The Dolphins defense is so beatable, and I think that obviously as long as we can just minimize big plays against them, and they're coming here to Cleveland in the cold. So that's going to be a different type of game. And of course, we got the Chargers this week. So it all starts this weekend against the Chargers in Cleveland. But that was the only team really that worried me ahead of us in the standings until the Colts made their decision yesterday to bench Anthony Richardson, and now they're going to move forward with Joe Flacco as the starter, because we all know what Joe Flacco can do for an NFL offense whenever he comes in. And now the Colts and the Chargers are the two teams now that I'm watching ahead of us in the standings. Like, okay, we got to try to get ahead of these guys. It helps that the Colts defense is one of the worst defenses in the league. So I don't know what their schedule looks like for the rest of the season, but we talked about taking control of the season early on, stacking some wins, giving ourselves some buffer room later on in the season. Well, we didn't do that. We fell flat on our faces and completely effed that up. But we do still control somewhat of our situation. We just got to handle our business. And let the chips fall basically where they may. We got to have that 1-0 each week mentality. That's what they had last season. Just got to get back to that. Would I bet on the Cleveland Browns making the playoffs? No, not at this point with just one good game out of 8 on the season. No, that's just not a smart bet. But all we're saying about the playoffs is it is not a mathematical certainty that the Browns cannot make the playoffs. The path, crazy as it sounds with the way this season has gone, still exists somehow, some way, and it at least makes the upcoming weeks more exciting. If they continue to win games, we beat the Chargers, go in the bye week, come out, beat the Saints, and then we get to face off against the Steelers at home on Thursday night. We are back to an interesting season in Cleveland. This episode is brought to you by Manly Bands. Dog Pack, if you followed the show for a while, you know that I recently got married. I got my wedding band at Manly Bands. Now, I opted for something a little more simple, so I just got a plain, simple, gold, polished band from Manly Bands, but that's not everybody, and I'm telling you, they've got so many cool different designs and materials available. They've got bands made out of Jack Daniel's whiskey barrels, meteorites, even dinosaur bones. It's so cool. Just head to manlybands.com, check out the selection, see what they have. They've even got build your own bands if you want to make a custom style band for yourself. And right now, use promo code DAWGS, DAWGS, at manlybands.com when you check out, and you'll get 25% off your order. 25% is a big deal. So make sure, if you guys are looking for a new wedding band, Blake mentioned last week or two on the show that, he's lost a lot of weight in the last year. And so his wedding band is a little too big for him. So he's thinking about getting a new one. And I told him, I said, just go to Manly Bands, see what they got. And the 25% off your order is such a great deal. You really can't beat it. So at least go check it out, see what they have. They've got some really cool stuff. And again, promo code DAWGS, DAWGS, if you decide to buy one, and you'll get 25% off of that purchase. If you don't know your ring size, you can order a free ring size guide. They'll ship it straight to you. You can punch out the little rings and put them on your finger to see which size fits you best. And then every single band you order comes with a free silicone ring for whenever you want to work out or go swimming or whatever you need a silicone band for. You get one for free shipped with your purchase of a Manly Band from manlybands.com. So check it out. Again, manlybands.com. Use promo code DAWGS for 25% off your order. So finally, I want to read a little bit of this article. Brad Ward for the OBR on their website wrote this about the game the other day. Here's his perspective on the change from Kevin Stefanski to Ken Dorsey in terms of play calling. Like I said at the top of the show, though, I just cannot reiterate this enough. Like, so many people seem to think that now Ken Dorsey is just 100% in charge of the offense, and Kevin is no longer has any hand in it or anything like that. It blows my mind that there are so many people that think all football happens only on Sundays between 1 and 4. Like, again, the responsibilities and the people involved throughout the entire week of preparation has not changed. It's still the same offense we've had all season. But the thing is, now we can actually run more of traditional Kevin Stefanski offensive schemes with Jameis Winston at quarterback than we ever could with DeShaun. And Brad Ward talks about that, and I'm just going to read what he had to say. On Sunday, the Browns offense was a good mix of Stefanski and Dorsey. Despite Dorsey calling the plays, the Browns did run a good portion of an offense that we have seen from Stefanski before, with a nice complement of what we believe Dorsey would bring to the table. They took what they had been doing for Watson and tweaked it for Winston, who can play from under center and in the play action game, which they used 13 times. Winston did a good job identifying pressures from the Ravens defense, stood in the face of pressure, and made the right throws to the available receivers. Stefanski was engaged on the sideline throughout and visibly expressive at the end of the game after the final whistle as he ran across the field yelling in celebration. Now, Brad says, I was skeptical about about them going to Dorsey as a play caller, but the move worked, at least for this week. Streamlining the play calling process was the key reason for the adjustment, and it netted positive results, resulting in just 4 offensive penalties called against the Browns, 2 false starts on Teller, who was back from injury, one hold on Teller and a false start on DeJuan Jones. That was the extent of the damage. There was no illegal shifts or delay of game issues at all. They looked good, and it would be hard to find fault with how they adjusted to their process. I noticed that Stefanski kicked 2 field goals early in the game, which was a typical go-for-it scenario in the past. It makes me wonder if Stefanski's ability to look at game situations on a larger scale than from his typical perspective of a play caller somewhat changed his view of game strategy. A play calling role could easily lock a person into a what am I calling next mentality, which might change a coach's feel for the game in the moment. It's certainly something to keep an eye on as they go forward. While the most consequential difference in the week was the quarterback, the other changes brought forward some notable observations in the process and allowed us to see Stefanski as a CEO head coach. Blake talked about that Monday night. In that CEO role, Kevin was much more engaged in the overall game management. And that's exactly what Brad was saying here. I thought he worded that so well. Again, it's the same offense, but you let somebody else handle the play-to-play situational calling, and then that gives Kevin a step back. He's not so close to the situation because I think the only way I can really think about relating to it is I'm sure you guys play college football on PlayStation or Xbox. You guys play Madden or whatever. When you're running plays, because obviously you're calling the plays, you're running the plays and everything. I know this is a dumb example, but just bear with me on this. You're calling the plays, you're running the plays, and you had like a 3rd and 2. You had a great play, you threw it to a guy and whatever, he dropped it, or quarterback got hit as he threw and the ball went incomplete, and you're like, oh my gosh, I needed to pick up that first down right there. I had it. I can't believe I did that. And you're frustrated and you're just like, screw it, I'm going for it because I know I'm going to get it on this next one. That is kind of the same mentality that happens when, like he's referring to here with Kevin calling plays. Like you get into that mentality of, well, I'm just going for it. I'm aggressive. I'm picking this up. Screw it. I don't care if we didn't get the 3rd and 2. I'm going forward on 4th and 2, even if it might not be the best decision. It was interesting that Kevin kicked 2 early field goals in this game. And I think we're going to see more situations like that unfold. And it's not so much that Ken Dorsey's play calling is otherworldly or anything like that. It's just that somebody else is managing that part of the game. I don't care if it's Ken Dorsey or somebody else calling the plays. We have wondered for years what it would look like if Alex Van Pelt or anybody else called the plays other than Kevin. And on Sunday, we got a good look at how the game looks for the Browns if Kevin is removed from that duty and instead just overseeing the entire game management part of it. And I thought he did a great job. So we'll see how things look on Sunday. Obviously, guys, it's not going to be perfect. We're not going to win every single game because of this one change, but the subsequent changes that came from this move were very positive. Like the lack of these pre-snap penalties, getting the plays in a timely manner, like he said, no delay of games, all that kind of stuff, no illegal formations, guys, the play clock's under 5 and they're looking at each other going, where do I line up? I don't even know what we're doing. We didn't see any of that on Sunday, so that was definitely a positive. So let me read one more piece from Brad's article here, and this was his perspective on the quarterback change in the game. I thought this was really good. He says, for weeks, the Browns have looked listless and unfocused. The offense was barely watchable, going 26 consecutive third downs without a conversion at one point. There was blame to be placed across the roster and organization. The offensive line was terrible. Receivers were riddled by drops. Poor quarterback play was constant. Self-inflicted penalties and mental miscues plagued the offense. He says in a prior edition of his column, he talked about the underlying undefined problem with the Browns. Sunday's performance made it clear what that issue was. The offensive line elevated their play, aided by simply knowing where the quarterback would be in the pocket. Wide receivers won 50-50 balls and made difficult catches, creating separation because they knew the ball would be coming their way or could be coming their way. It's easy to parse out the difference between this Sunday and the prior Sundays this season. It is the quarterback play. Watson brought no energy to the position, posting all-time bad numbers and advanced statistics. His disposition and lifeless play sapped the energy from the other 52 players on the roster. That's clear as day. On Sunday, the Browns looked like the team we fell in love with last year. They played with enthusiasm and passion, never backing down from the Ravens as Winston pushed the ball down the field, showing us what this offense was supposed to look like all along. Some may point to the play calling change or a shift in offensive line personnel, but the quarterback was the difference between weeks 1 and 7 and week 8. It's not hard to figure out the reasons for contrast. Winston and the offense gave the defense belief they could win, and they responded with a terrific effort. With Watson no longer part of the formula, football was fun again in Cleveland, and there is no going back. The Browns will need to continue evaluating Winston's play closely as they are facing some difficult decisions at quarterback for next year. The Browns need to maximize their number of potential quarterback candidates as they look to pivot back into relevance in 2025. If Winston can maintain a high level of play, he could become an option for the Browns. He's obviously moving on to looking into next season, but like I said earlier, mathematically, statistically, the Browns could still make a push for this whole playoff thing this year. Again, not betting on it, not even predicting it's going to happen, just saying it's not out of the realm of possibilities. But we've got to start with a win this week against the Chargers. I just thought his breakdown on, why the quarterback play has improved everybody around. And I am sick and tired of hearing all the people say, well, the offensive line didn't want to block for Watson. They actually want to block for Jameis. No, Jameis's ability at quarterback, his confidence, that not even just his demeanor or the things that he says. It's not just the pregame speeches. It's his play. I mean, it's the fact that the offensive line knows that they can block for 2.5 seconds, and that's enough time to give their quarterback to throw the ball. Before, they didn't know what was going to go on as soon as the play was snapped. I mean, DeShaun, if his first read wasn't open, it was just a total crap show from there. So it was encouraging. Like he said, it was fun to watch the offense again, and I am very excited to see what Jameis Winston can do with this Browns offense for the rest of the season. And even if we fall out of the playoff contention, we lose some games, and things just don't bounce our way, watching to see if Jameis Winston could be I know like Nick Carnes on Twitter and some people are talking, Jameis could be the long-term answer for the Browns at quarterback. I don't want to rule that out. I don't want to make that our main option. I think that more likely scenario is Jameis could be a good 1 to maybe even 2 year bridge quarterback, because say we've win enough games this year to get like a mid-round pick next year. I don't know. This quarterback class, we'll evaluate it more as the season goes on and we get into the offseason. But so far, it doesn't look like there's any of those like super high-end quarterback options. We'll see how it goes. But, with a mid-round pick, if the Browns win some more games and all that kind of stuff, you're gonna need a good bridge veteran quarterback for next season. Then if you decide 2026 is the year you want to get your rookie and really start developing, well, you're going to want a veteran in the building for that as well. So, I could see a 2-year extension with Jameis Winston to keep him under contract through 2026 and all that kind of stuff. If he continues to play well for Cleveland. I get it. I know he had a few passes that could have, and the Hamilton pass definitely should have been intercepted. But like we said, Lamar Jackson did the same thing. I watched plenty of other NFL football on Sundays. Jordan Love throws a lot of passes that should be intercepted. Jalen Hurts throws a lot of passes that should be intercepted. It happens. Josh Allen throws a lot of passes that could be intercepted, but that's NFL football. If you're not pushing the ball down the field and you're not taking shots and trying to connect with your receivers on big plays, you're going to look like what the Browns look like for the first 7 weeks. So you got to take those shots. You got to take those opportunities and just hope that when those situations arise, the ball bounces your way. And Sunday, it did. It did. Everything bounced our way. So obviously there is luck. Luck is part of the equation to winning an NFL game, especially a close one. But at the same time, you also have to play well to put yourself in position for luck to even factor in. So that kind of wraps up everything for the Browns in week 8 with the Ravens. Obviously, now we're going to move on. We're going to start talking all about the Chargers coming to town on Sunday. We're going to do our preview episode, Dog Pack Discord, tomorrow night. Again, if you want to get into that, it's jointhedogs.com, become an official Dog Pack member on Patreon. As soon as you sign up, you will get an email from us with the link to the private Discord. You just sync Patreon with the Discord. You get in there, say what's up to everybody, start jumping in the chat. I mean, it's our own online social media platform where it's just diehard Browns fans and we all get along for the most part. Obviously, there's a little back and forth debating in there, but we are all passionate diehard Browns fans. It's a community of just extraordinary people. We have met some great people in there, and it's not just Browns talk. We talk about everything in there. We talk about life, family, our marriages, our kids, our jobs. We there's just a ton of support. Sometimes it turns into a support group. It's just a good place to be. So jointhedogs.com, get in there, get into the Dog Pack Discord show tomorrow night. Come up on stage, give us your thoughts, ask us your questions, and let's talk about some exciting Browns football. Finally, after the dark cloud of the first 7 weeks is over, and that's not a knock just on DeShaun. It's just a knock on the entire situation of everything. Everything with this team was just dark and doom and gloom for 7 weeks. We're out. We're in to a much brighter pasture, and hopefully it continues Sunday against the Chargers, because I'm going to go up there and it looks like it's going to be a crappy weather day. It looks like it's going to be rainy. So if I'm going to go up there and tough all that crap out, they better come out and perform. So we're hoping for that. If you guys are coming to the meetup on Saturday night, make sure you guys, hit us up in the Discord or on social media. Let us know. We'll look for you. Come say hi. We are going to be broadcasting live from the Berea Browns Backers Bash. So check us out, whether you're able to make it in person or you just want to jump on YouTube or Facebook and catch the live stream. We will be chatting with all of you. So again, keep the positivity, keep the good vibes going for this team, because we finally have them. We, like Blake said Monday night, really didn't think we were going to have too many more victories to speak about. And all of a sudden, it looks like maybe some more could be coming our way. So again, positive vibes, good thoughts, everything for the Browns. We will talk to you guys on the preview show. That'll come out Friday. And until we do, let's go Brownies.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Dogs Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Twitter at The Dogs Podcast. Get your thoughts on the show at thedogspodcast.com.
This episode is sponsored by My Patriot Supply. Hey, Dog Pack, we do a lot of fun promos on the show, but let me ask you a serious question this time. Do you think the world's going in the right direction, or, does it kind of feel like a lot of things are falling apart? Hurricanes, tornadoes, natural disasters, we just had a pandemic, foreign wars, threats of escalated conflicts. It could be a lot, guys. I get it. And if you're feeling alarmed, you're not alone. Your views, one way or another, they don't change the fact that we all need to be prepared for our families, and that starts with having an emergency food supply. We're living in crazy times, and that's why so many people are making sure their homes are prepared and stored with food. And right now, you can get yourself and your family ready with a 3-month emergency food kit from My Patriot Supply. It comes with delicious foods like creamy stroganoff, honey wheat bread, cheesy broccoli soup, spaghetti, chili mac, even pancake mix. The entire kit offers 2,000 calories every day, and the food lasts up to 25 years. Who knows what things will look like then? But if that dreaded day does come, you will be ready. Go to thedogspodcast.com/Patriot right now to order your 3-month emergency food kit from My Patriot Supply. Protect your food situation for things like extended power outages, cyber attacks, natural disasters, quarantines, even things like job loss and income reduction, whatever the situation might be. Make sure that your most basic needs are covered so that you can focus on whatever else you need to do. That's thedogspodcast.com/Patriot to order your 3-month emergency food kit now from My Patriot Supply.